Okay, all right. Call to order. Please take roll call.
Ms. De La Vega is absent. Ms. Perez? Here. Mr. Rodriguez?
Here.
Mr. Tunidor?
Here.
Mr. Zogby?
Present.
Mr. Junco?
Yes.
For the record, Ms. De La Vega is present. Mr. President, you have a full council.
Thank you so much. Could you please lead us in invocation?
Lord, we place this meeting in your hands. We pray for your guidance and direction and benefit of those who live and work in the city of Hialeah. Amen.
Thank you. And our pledge allegiance led by Ms. Perez. Oh, sorry, Ms. Perez.
I pledge allegiance.
The United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Please read meeting guidelines.
All lobbyists must register with the city clerk. As a courtesy to others, please refrain from using cellular telephones or other similar electronic devices in the council chamber. A maximum of 3 speakers in favor and 3 speakers in opposition will be allowed to address the council on any one item. Each speaker's comments will be limited to 3 minutes. No signs or placards in support of or in opposition to an item or speaker shall be permitted within the council chamber. Any person, whether participating via the web platform, telephonic conferencing, or physical presence at City Hall, interested in making comments or posing questions on matters of public concern or on any item on the agenda may do so during the meeting. Members of the public may address the city council on any item pertaining to city business during the comments and questions portion of the meeting. A member of the public is limited to 1 appearance before the city council, and the speaker's comments will be limited to 3 minutes. Individuals should be respectful of the elected officials and staff who are on the dais and make every effort to speak with a moderate tone using appropriate language and avoiding personal attacks. Member of the public in the audience shall refrain from shouting or making remarks from their seats to the mayor, council members, or staff sitting on the dais. The public can view public meetings on the city's YouTube page.
Thank you. And we're going into next presentation. Hello.
Good afternoon, Ruth Ruby, Executive Director, Finance Management. I'm here to present the proposed fiscal year 25-26 budget. I believe our legal counsel will say some words first.
Yes, through the council president, if I may, I'd like to give a brief statement about the legal duties relative to the budget, if I may. So under state statutes, the mayor and city council must adopt a budget each fiscal year. Under state statutes, the mayor and city council must adopt, that is, shall adopt its tentative and final millage before adopting its tentative or final budget. In other words, the millage rate must be enacted prior to the budget being enacted. Per state law, the mayor and council must adopt their budgets in accordance with the requirements of state law and their own charter. The deadline date for adoption of a tentative budget is September 18th. The deadline date for adoption of the final budget is September 30th. Per the city council, per the city charter, the city council is required to adopt a balanced budget by ordinance on or before September 30th of each year. If the city council fails to adopt a budget before September 30th in any year, the prior year's budget shall be in effect until a tentative budget is adopted. Per the city charter, and I will quote the following sections verbatim, which pertain to the proceedings tonight. Among the mayor's duties are to prepare and submit the mayor's recommended annual budget to the city council. The mayor's annual budget or individual line items contained therein may be increased or decreased only by an affirmative vote of 5 council members. The mayor also has a veto power over any legislation passed by the council. A veto can be overridden only by an affirmative vote of at least 5 council members. In brief, the budget itself as presented requires a majority of the council to pass. However, per the city charter, to modify the mayor's budget, including any individual line items therein, requires 5 affirmative votes. Similarly, to override any mayoral veto requires 5 affirmative votes. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Please proceed.
So as you know, we begin the budget preparation in February, and between February and the months of July or August, we're basically working with the departments. We're receiving their wish list. We are basically condensing the wish list to basically the emergencies that are needed within the city for that specific year. By the end of August, we're pretty much completed with the budget. We meet with council, and that brings us to today, September 11th, which is the first public hearing. September 25th is the second public budget hearing. September 30th, as you know, ends our fiscal year, and on October 1st, we begin the new fiscal year. Since 2013, the millage rate has remained the same as at 6.3018. As you know, 33.8% is what the city receives from the property tax collected. 35.6 goes to Miami-Dade County Public Schools, 26.7 to Miami-Dade County, and 3.9 goes to others, such as the Children's Trust. So the city, with the 33.8%, basically covers all of the operations of the entire city, whereas you can see other cities charge, or they have a separate millage for services such as the library, fire rescue. This budget is comprised of the total proposed budget is $472 million. It includes $18.1 million of federal, state, and local, can't see this, but it's federal and state and local grants. I've always mentioned the budget is basically comprised of two buckets. We have what we call the general fund, and then we have what are restricted funds. Under the general fund, our proposed budget for 26 is $222 million, an increase of $10.6 million or 5% from the prior year. The drivers of this increase are basically annual pension contributions and cost of living adjustments. We have health insurance increases of $3.4 million or 15%. We have a one-time transfer to Public Works of $13 million to reduce the cost of impact to the Miami-Dade water and sewer rate increases to homeowners, business owners, and renters. We also have $6.5 million for capital projects. It was part of the 5-year commitment of our strategic capital plan. That comprises the general fund. The restricted funds are $249.5 million, and is a decrease from the prior year of $24 million, primarily because last year we were recognizing ARPA funds, they're no longer being recognized in 26. The total revenue that we are projecting to receive is $253 million. And you can see that the ad valorem revenue is basically the largest revenue stream that we have. This year is an increase of $13 million or 11%. The proposed the proposed general fund budget is the proposed budget is $222 million. And you will note that out of the $222 million, only 18% is really what we use for administrative departments. The balance of the funds are used for basically for services to the community, the support of the services to the community. I want to show you that although we are receiving $133 million in ad valorem revenue, what it really costs the city to run public safety is $154 million. So we really rely on the rest of the funds to be able to meet basic needs of life and safety. You will also note in this chart that some of our shared revenue has decreased. So we are really dependent on the revenue from ad valorem and the revenue that we get through shared from the state in order to basically meet the basic operations of the city. Furthermore, you will see, or you will note that there's $13 million additional in ad valorem revenue. However, our proposed budget for 2026 basically shows in salary and benefits a $15 million increase. So basically, the additional revenue that we're receiving doesn't even cover the increase of salary and benefits. What constitutes this increase? We had pension restored in police and fire. We had three negotiations with CBAs that had COLA increases, and we've had a huge increase in our insurance. So all that constitutes the additional $15 million in salary and benefits. I want to show that this administration in the past 4 years or 3 years and the proposed 26 has really invested in our police and fire. And I think if you look at our budget book and you look at the FTE counts, you will notice that on the administrative side, we have reduced FTEs. However, with fire and police, we've increased it by 20.5 FTEs. So our investment in their capital, our investment in having to provide the needs that they need to run their operation is basically where the focus has been in the last couple of years. And so from 2023 to 26, we are investing roughly 25% more than we ever did in 23. The total proposed expense budget is $471.7 million. And you will note that 8% of that is administrative departments. The balance, again, is basically support to the community. This slide basically shows a comparison from last year to this year. We adopted a budget of $575 million last year. This year, our proposed budget is $507. It's a reduction of $67.6 million. Why? In 25, we recognized all of the ARPA funds. We also recognized other capital projects that are not reinvested in 26. And so this year's budget is a reduction of $67 million. Last year, we introduced the capital plan, and it was a 5-year commitment from this council that we would basically begin to take care of deferred maintenance, the aging of our infrastructure. So this year, we're presenting a budget for 26 of approximately $56.3 million. And I will go through the descriptions of each. So in roadway and drainage improvements, we are basically proposing $13 million. There's 1 project in design and 5 projects in construction for this coming year. Repairs of sewer lines and pump stations, we're proposing $13 million. The Hialeah Heights Environmental Remediation Master Plan is still in the planning stages, but it's at a cost of $8 million. Life safety equipment and capital repairs between the fire department and police department is basically proposed at $9 million. Improvements to parks and recreational facilities proposed at 6.7. There's multiple parks and multiple repairs. Some of them are emergencies. So I want to point those out because they're part of the general fund, but you have Sparks Park roof replacement, the Wild Park roof, and the other roof replacement, which I can find in this list, but those are emergencies that we cannot postpone any longer. You have the citywide street lighting enhancements, which is $1 million. We have received multiple proposals, including one from FPL, and it was double this amount. We have decided to basically do the project in-house. The city has over 5,000 streetlights. FPL has completed their upgrading of their lights. We have not even started ours. So this is basically a plan for a 3-year implementation where every year we will basically invest $1 million. We will take a section of the city, but at the end of the 3 years, basically all of our lights throughout the city would be completed. And then we have the city renewal and replacements. And basically, obviously, although we outsource the affordable housing, the project management of it, those buildings are still ours. It's our responsibility to continue the deferred maintenance of those buildings. And then obviously you have fuel dispensers and fuel pumps. We embarked this year on basically upgrading all of our fuel dispensers and fuel pumps. We have a new system that's called Fuel Master, and if we don't get these fuel pumps and dispensers finished, the system will not work. So there's many, so when you're looking at our capital plan, you have to understand that departments provide a huge wish list, but we narrow it down to what is actually the immediate needs of the city. Our budgets are very tight. We don't have a lot of wiggle room. And so any decisions council makes of cutting anything becomes a conversation as to what essential services we should cut. And it's a decision you all make. I'm going to turn it over to Public Works.
Good evening, everyone. Kevin Linsky, Public Works Department, Hialeah. If I'm overly polite tonight, it's because I just got a text that my sister has set up my 99-year-old mother with a glass of wine and a webcast, and she's watching me. I don't think she has seen me in a year, and she certainly hasn't seen me on TV, and so this will be quite exciting. Let's see how this goes. Say her name's Elizabeth. And tonight's Thursday night. Every Thursday night since I was a tiny kid, she curls her hair. So she has her hair curls. I'll ask only one question of the commission tonight. How old do you think the curlers are in her hair? She's 99.
40?
86 years. Her curlers are 86 years old.
Wow.
Yeah. And there they go. They made things well back then. Not made in China. And they'll go on forever. I'd like to do the first slide, but am I in control of the slides, or how do I just page down?
Yes.
Got it. Okay. I'll start with a slide that really talks about a major driver of our water and sewer budget this year. I think you saw this slide about 2 weeks ago, and what it indicates is that there has been a massive increase in what the city is being charged by the county. As you know, Hialeah is one of 14 cities that buys its water and sewer services from the county, and we fundamentally have to pass those costs on. Fully 75% of our charges are from the county and our RO plant. That part of the budget is set fundamentally by the county and not by this council. For this year, our major cost, fully 50% of our cost is processing wastewater. And the county has increased that cost to us by 19%. That's an extraordinary number. I'm going to spend a little bit of time looking into that number. I don't understand how you can take an operation and the plants that have been there for 50 years and suddenly increase their operational costs in a single year by 19%. It seems extraordinary. That increase alone would cause our customers to have 11% increase in our fee just to pay the county. And I'll say something I said again 2 weeks ago. The county's customers, not the wholesale customers like Hialeah, their own internal customers are only having a 4% increase this year. It is almost mathematically impossible for the county to have charged themselves basically 4% and charge a city like Hialeah 19%. It's it smacks of cost shifting, but I don't have full information to be able to tell you how that's being accomplished. This is just a 3-year window on what our costs, our major drivers have been at the Water and Sewer Department. Again, our costs are dominated by the county. The county has increased the cost of our water in 3 years by 26%, and they have increased wastewater in those 3 years 21%. In the same time period, you've seen increases within the county far smaller than these. They've kind of had a continual pattern of increasing costs to the wholesale customers, larger than costs to their own customers. When we looked inside the audited financial statements of the county, we found something rather peculiar, which was over a 4-year period. Wholesale revenues had gone up by nearly 60%, while their own revenues to their own customers had only gone up a little less than 30%. It's just, you can see in maybe 1 year you might have a discrepancy, but this has been multiple years in a row. and this has a big impact on our budget and on our residents. I want to talk for a minute because Public Works does two things. It provides water and sewer services to its customers, and it provides solid waste services to our customers. So for the third year in a row, Hialeah is not going to have an increase for its solid waste services. We're going to be $36.50 a month, which, as you can see there, it's $438 annually. The county is about $59 a month, and that's over $700 in the county. So even if you compared us almost to anyone throughout the entire county, or even in Florida, this rate is highly competitive. So it's great that we've been able to maintain it for the third year in a row. I can anticipate there's going to be a fair amount of discussion today on our budget, and I just wanted to talk about a couple rules of thumb or best practices when you prepare a budget. So when we prepare our budget, we follow what's called the Government Finance Officers Association recommendation on how much cash you have sitting in your account, how much working capital do you have. It's the same recommendation that comes from the Government Association of Standards Board. They both basically say you should have 2 months of cash reserve. That's so you have working capital, and so that if you have an emergency, you can handle it. And many times you can look inside of your audited financial statements, and we get reviewed by Fitch annually for our bonds, and they take a very close look at those numbers. So currently we're almost spot on with that standard. So we have tried to budget ourselves to always abide by that standard. If we wanted to keep that standard, which we do, and we wanted to balance our budget for this coming year, our rates would have to go up about 14%. That's how much it would take. Almost all of that going to the county. About 2 to 3% of that would pay for the rest of our expenses that also have increased a bit. If we don't do that, we have a pretty significant cash deficit. There's a page after this that I'll show you that will break out the number, but our true cash deficit, we would go negative just about $15 million in terms of, if you looked at our books at the end of this year versus next year, you'd find $15 million less dollars in it, and we would no longer really be meeting that normal standard that governments are often apply of 2 months reserves. When I took the job a couple of years ago, it was a difficult decision to make because I understood that the system had been underfunded for many years, and that was showing up throughout the capital program. If you look at the state of the pipes, you find something almost immediately sitting in the numbers, and that is our pipes have not been inspected and lined at the standard they should have for a number of years, and it's very expensive for us because water leaks into our wastewater system. So we are done a good job trying to cordon off funds with the mayor, the mayor's office, the previous mayor, on a program that is going to attempt to keep our pipes better sealed, which will drive down our costs. Really, the only major way we can drive down costs at the department is to seal our wastewater system so that those huge wastewater bills from the county aren't as large anymore. And just one last thing, we do have a bond ordinance out, bond out. We issued it for the reverse osmosis plant. In that bond ordinance, they put certain coverage ratios, which are ratios of your operating revenues to your expenses. We right now don't meet that standard. We're below what when we issued our bonds about 10 years ago, said we would be. And if we don't maintain a solid budget, it will get potentially worse. This is us on paper in terms of cash. So we're not kind of hiding anything. This is how much cash we have. So it's kind of in 3 buckets. The first bucket is restricted funds. Our customers, when you set up accounts, you put down deposits. We also hold money that we have to send to the county for DERM. That's 18.1 million. It can't be touched. If you touch it, you'll end up in I will end up in a lot of trouble. That's that one's a legal thing. That one's doesn't have a lot of flexibility there. We also have $17.8 million that we retained from paying the county. That is a true liability on our books. If you look in our books, it will say, just like we owe anyone else, we owe the county the 17.8 million. So I believe you all know that there's a court case that's going to come up involving that 17.8 million. But that also is, fundamentally reserved. We're not spending that. We have to make sure that we do well in court. If we don't, that's, technically not going to be our money. Our free cash, meaning the amount of money that we have from day to day to transact business and take care of emergencies, is about $17 million. And that's very close to 2 months reserve. And that's a good number. This chart just breaks out in more detail what I said earlier, that if we don't raise our rates by 14 or so % or get an offset from the general fund, we will run cash negative. Of that $17 million, about 14 and a half of it is true cash that if you looked on our books, you just won't find it at the end of next year, which puts us in some trouble. The other 2 million is really, if we were trying to have a full 2 months reserve, we would have kind of dipped below that number. These are all the slides I have on the budget. I'm not sure if we're going to do questions. I'm going to turn it back over to Ruth. Thank you. Okay, I'm told I have to answer questions. And my mom's watching.
Through the chair.
Yes, granted.
Your son has done terrifically. What's her name again? Elizabeth.
Elizabeth.
Elizabeth, your son has done terrifically. So we really don't have an overage in our public works budget. The 17 million we're talking about is not even a true 17 million, like you said, but it is an absolute minimum for best practices that we would need 2 months worth of an operating budget in the public works department. If not, we're in trouble, and that could affect bond ratings and things like
Yeah,
that.
our budget is spot on for what we're supposed to have in terms of cash on hand.
Right. So we don't have any extra money whatsoever because some people might look at this and go, oh, they've got $17 million in reserves. That means that that's just money lying around, but that is not money lying around. That's money that's should be there. Like any household or any business should have the money in case there's a hiccup and you need to pay at least 2 months worth of operating costs for the public works department. So we're pretty much down to the wire there, correct?
We meet the standard and just the standard
Minimum,
alone.
minimum, right? Okay, very good. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Through the chair.
Yeah.
Kevin, thank you for that breakdown. And hello, Elizabeth.
She's enjoying it.
Yeah.
And she's got a glass of wine because they just sent me a
A
picture. It's
bottle
got to
of
be this big. Sorry, Mom.
All right. Kevin, just a couple questions of items that you've already gone over, but just for clarification. So the 19 million that's in reserves, the 2 month threshold that we're talking about, that 2 month threshold, is that a statute prohibition or requirement? Is it like a county ordinance, or is it just best practices?
To my understanding, I can be corrected by the finance director, it is best practice.
Okay. All right. Thank you for that. And then just out of curiosity, in the past, like, I don't know, maybe in the past 5 years, would you say that we've always, or in the past 10 years, I mean, it predates you, but have we always met the 2 month threshold in the reserves for water and sewer?
I'm lucky enough to have my finance director here who will be put on the spot. Yeah. So our finance director, who has been here about 10 years, said we've always met that standard.
Okay. For the most part. So like maybe not the full 2 months, maybe a month and a half. Yeah. 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 Okay, perfect. Got it. So it's not a state requirement. Okay, got it. And then with regards to the pool of the 18 million, for the county dispute. So it's not a restricted fund, correct?
I might ask my attorney how he feels about it. It is a true liability. We've undergone multiple audits where that has been shown as a liability. I don't know how to term it as, your question was whether it was restricted?
Yeah, because you have mentioned other categories that were restricted.
Right.
Right, like like the restricted reserves, customer deposits, derm fees. I just don't see that, that language under the dispute.
Yeah, but
So we don't like to discuss ongoing litigation on the dais here and prefer that someone calls us. But having said that, so among the criteria that Florida Statute 218.503 has for determination of financial emergency is failure to pay uncontested claims from creditors as a result of lack of funds, and among certain other fiscal failures. So it conceivably is within the ambit of that statute. And just like with any other litigation, the city is really almost entirely self-insured. So anything we pay at this point in time, we have no insurance to cover it. It just comes out of
Right,
city funds.
but I'm just talking about this pool
Right.
of dollars. Is it restricted or not?
Well, put it this way, again, I don't want to discuss, and I will not discuss
No, we
litigation
won't.
here
No,
on
I
the
don't
day.
want-
So if there's any kind of judgment against the city, and there is no insurance, and it's not reversed on appeal and there's a judgment, then the city has to satisfy it out of some funds that the city has.
Got it.
And if not, the creditor can get a writ of mandamus to compel payment.
Right. Got it. Okay. So it's not necessarily restricted, but I see what you mean. I got it. All right. Yeah. Not to go into too much into detail on that then. And then, you had mentioned, Kevin, there was I think it was a prior slide. I don't know if maybe Maria can, all right. Thank you. Current rates are insufficient, because Miami-Dade County, the 19% increase, highly public works, we're in a $17 million cash deficit, without either raising its rates or receiving a subsidy. So when you mention receiving a subsidy, we're talking about the 13 million from the general fund to the water and sewer?
yes, exactly that.
Okay. And are there any guarantees really that, let's say next year, Miami-Dade County doesn't increase the sewer rates again, right? Like, I mean, so we see at 19% today. Next year, I mean, do they say, hey, after we hit you with a big increase, we take a couple of years off, or?
I've never understood, even though I ran that department, the rhyme and reason of it. For 19%, this is very difficult for me. Normally it was within a 8% number. So this one is a bit unusual. If I had to make a prediction, it is almost impossible after getting a 20% increase to then want another increase. If they could do it, goodness knows, but that's would be difficult.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. Thank you.
Through the chair.
Yes.
Hi, Elizabeth. 'Cause I don't want to be rude. Kevin, I have a question on the 19% increase. So you said that's for a wholesaler, right? Because we're a wholesaler.
Correct.
Did other wholesalers get that same increase?
Yes, everyone had that.
So every wholesaler got that increase?
Right.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure they weren't doing that because I know we went on the record and said we weren't paying the 18 million.
Right. I will say they got it, but if you took all other 12 or 13, we're 40% of all the wholesale revenue the county gets on wastewater. So those are the 13 make up a much smaller, they're 60% of it. So when this rate comes out, really highly as paying
Is
a
that
lion's share of
negotiable?
it.
with
No,
them?
it's just based on the amount of wastewater that
Okay,
we
understood.
send to them.
Okay, just wanted to make sure it wasn't We weren't the only ones getting that increase. And so, oh, sorry, just, so the money that is put towards the possible, can you go to the next slide? To the dispute. So we're reserving it because there is a possibility that we will pay it, right?
I think it's just prudent. First, it's a liability on our books. I have no power to say the liability doesn't exist. It's an audited number on a book. And we just feel it's prudent until a court makes it binding to have the money available.
So we're waiting for the courts. Okay. I know we went on the record and said we weren't paying it. So now there's a possibility that we'll pay it depending on the courts. When is the court
Just to
date?
clarify, no, I thought the council knew this, and if they don't, let me. So yes, we did do that, and we had a dispute resolution, but since that resulted in an impasse, the county has filed a civil action. We are in court with the county over this. Okay, and I mean, it's just started, but you know, there's a lawsuit involved.
Okay, awesome. Thank you.
Through the chair.
Yes,
Wait,
Oh,
my turn.
Mayor.
And also, hi, Elizabeth, enjoy your wine and the show. So just so that everyone's aware, I have asked the state to audit the water department from the county. Cause this 19% is just incredible and unexplainable. So just to put that on the record.
Yeah, and just maybe to pile on one more time to the county, when I said they probably won't have an increase next year, when you have one that large, it's hard to. But I will say that they hired 500 people in the last couple of years for that department, additional people. And that's an awful lot of overhead to be carrying.
Thank you.
through the chair.
Yes.
You partially answered what one of the two questions I was going to ask. It was asked here, yes, this year, the blended rate of about a 20% increase between the sewer and the fresh water, the water supply we're getting is about 20% increase that us as wholesalees, we're not wholesalers, we're wholesalees, that are going to have to pay for that. And you were saying, well, you don't predict or you don't think it'll be that drastic in the coming years, but it will be increased. We've been paying 7 to 9% a year in the past few years, blended rate. So it's definitely not going to stop here. We probably will see, God willing, not an increase of 20% every coming year, but certainly an increase every year. I can't see, especially from what you said, where their department is growing and all the projects they have for improvement on their sewer programs, because of what's happening in Biscayne Bay, and they've got to upgrade all their processing plants. I can't see where they're not going to raise our rates as wholesalees in the coming years. I don't think this is like, okay, we're doing this one big one, and then we're going to give you a break for the next few years. We probably won't get a complete break. Hopefully, we'll go back to the old standards of less than 10%, right? I mean, is that reasonable?
I would hope to see this reversed after an audit to be, that's what I'm
Right.
hoping.
We hope.
But I don't know that that can occur. Now, that said, you know, the county has had fiscal discipline problems like I don't think I've seen before. They have revenues year over year increasing 8%, and they couldn't contain their costs within that number. So I don't know if water and sewer will be managed different from the rest of the county that has had these challenges, but it's hard to predict with this.
But
at
we
this time.
may see, I mean, this may not be the last of it. We may see hopefully lesser increases, but I don't predict that we'll be at zero increases for the next few years, right? I don't predict that. I don't see that being the case. I mean, whatever we're getting increased this year, we're going to get another increase next year. Who knows what it is? Hopefully, it won't be this much. Also, as far as the money that's been set aside for this litigation, and I know Mr. City Attorney Rafael, I understand we're not going to discuss it, so we're going to go hypothetically. This can go either way, this litigation. We can lose this and we will owe the money. And it's like we either set it aside in a prudent and responsible way. So in case we do lose, in case, hopefully we don't, we have the money to pay up. But if we don't have this money set aside and we do lose, it has to come from somewhere else. We're going to have to pay it from some other fund within the city. It's not like, well, we don't have it set aside, so we're not going to pay. I mean, a judgment can make us have to pay for this. So this is, in my understanding, this is the most responsible thing to do, to set this money aside and lock it in there, although it may not be law that we have to, but it would be irresponsible to think that, oh, for sure, we're going to win whatever litigation we may have. And this is a serious one. So if we lose this, we got to pay like any other litigation. It's got to come from somewhere, right? I mean, if we don't have it set aside now and go, okay, we've got this cushion, it's going to come from somewhere, and then there'll be painful cuts in the future. They may be from other
Yeah,
sources.
I can't, right. No attorney can predict the result of
Correct.
this litigation, so we don't know. But as you know, we're going to be as assertive and as we can be. But as the old adage says, hope for the best, expect the worst. It's just this
Right.
prudent financial practice.
I mean, if we prevail, then we have this money, this extra money, and we can cover some holes, which we have plenty of holes to cover, and that will be a relief. But if we don't prevail, if we lose, then we'll have to dig some more holes. If we just use this money now for something else, then we'll have to dig some more holes later on, which will be painful. And we're not a fat city. I mean, we don't have a lot of, our budget is not whatever, $11 billion like the county's budget. Ours is half a billion dollars, and we don't have that much fat to trim. So if we were to lose any litigation for $18 million, just to round it off, it would be a painful bill that would be due. And it has to come from somewhere, correct? There. Yeah. Thank you, sir.
If I may, through the chair.
Yes.
I'm interested, well, I'm sorry. Hi, Elizabeth. I don't want to skip out.
She might be asleep now, so I think,
She might have finished the.
I think that wine is gone and I think you
Right.
can.
She's like, what did I sign up for? So as it pertains to the restricted reserves and this account that we're discussing, I'm interested in kind of seeing the activity as it goes year to year. If we could maybe have a more detailed explanation of this actual fund, as I don't know if an average of 7 years, and just to see that yearly activity of the customer deposits, the germ fees, and just have a better understanding of what
Sure,
we
can
expect.
put together a schedule for you.
And then, if it depletes, how long will it take, if we were to use it for any emergency purposes?
Yep, we'll produce one for you.
Thank you, sir.
Kevin, question for you. As far as the fix, through the chair, that is it for you. Thank you. So the lining and the investment and the what's the process? I know we've been at it 2 years at it already. And I know the long-term fix was, I think it was a 5-year, you mentioned before in your presentation a couple of years ago.
Right, so
Can you
we,
just bring us up to date where we at with that
so the first year of the program was really setting up the program, getting some of the contracts in place. That was 2 years ago. A critical part of the program was really bringing in, I think I've mentioned this before, Oscar Vasquez. He's an expert in this exact thing. Hialeah is very lucky to have the person who's the expert in the biggest problem they have. So we set up several contracts. I think we have videotaped about 1/6 of the system, 300,000 feet, I think we're to date.
Correct.
Just in the last year or two. We're
Okay.
going to try to speed that up. We're going to try to bring 2 more contracts to the council after a budget gets passed, of course, that will bring on another firm, expedite both the videotaping and the repair. So in 3 years, we will have used up all the funds that we have budgeted for that.
Gotcha. Which was your original 40, what was the number of that project for 3 years? I forgot what it was.
Yeah, I think it was in the mid-40s.
Got it. Okay.
$1 million.
So right now we're identifying, but we're not fixing, or we're
No, we're doing, we
both?
do them at the same time. Yeah, we run videotape, we bring it back to the office, we scan the videotape, then we send a contractor to fix the repair.
Got it.
To
Got it.
fix.
Okay. All right, and wow, we still got a lot to go, huh? Yep.
It's a,
But
it's
we
a major
started.
system.
But the good
Normally
thing
it
is
takes
that-
10 years. You,
Yeah,
you
yeah.
videotape your system 1/10 a year. We're trying to do closer to 20% of the system a
Yeah.
year.
But the good thing is we're working on the fix, which was never been before, which is a good thing. Okay,
Yeah,
Thank
it's been a major problem.
thank you. Anyone else? Okay, next. Any other presentation? We need, good? Mayor?
No,
Ruth
let's
has a
continue,
presentation.
the
Sorry.
mayor's proposal.
I'm sorry?
We're continuing with the budget, so it's basically the mayor's proposal. Mayor, do you want to speak to your proposal?
Yes, I just want to start off by saying that I have come to this proposal, working with the finance department. We've gone through the numbers and we've seen the most that we can do here in the city of Hialeah. So go ahead, present. I also want to let the department heads know that you guys will not have to be reducing anything.
So let me just first go through what it really means as a savings for a resident or as a savings to basically to a business if we were to reduce by a 1%, which represents $1.3 million. So a resident would see roughly $11.57. A business, on the other hand, and this is on the lower end of that assessed commercial property, which is $4 million, we have it all the way to 60 and more, would see $249 savings. What does this mean? Who really benefits from these savings is not really the resident that lives here in the city. Who really benefits are those businesses that perhaps have been businesses here in the city, but actually live outside of the city. And so it's just an illustration of really where the benefit is when you're really cutting your millage. This is the proposed reduction by the mayor as to how she basically arrives at a $1.3 million reduction. Maria, can you pass? Yes. And so if you go to your third page. It's this one, the third page of this one. So if you flip through to the third page, you will see that we arrive at this reduction by the following. So typically, every year, we basically budget a contingency of $1 million. Why? Because we have aging infrastructure, aging buildings, a lot of deferred maintenance, and over the course of the year, you will see that we will have repairs, roof repairs, AC units. So we typically budget $1 million. So the mayor is proposing to reduce that $1 million to $500,000. Secondly, the defer of the Okeechobee Road pedestrian bridge. So we're in the middle of negotiations with FDOT and Miami Springs. And so we know that this project can be pushed out to 27 since we're still in those negotiations. So we're deferring it to 27. And then the mayor has gone through the exercise with every single department. They each provided their proposals. And so she basically, what she did in that instance was basically eliminate several non-essential positions and basically delaying one hire to the middle of the year. And so by doing those changes, she's able to come up with that $1.3 million reduction to the overall budget. And I provided basically and highlighted which departments or which areas would be affected by those changes. So this is basically the potential risk, right, of basically reducing the millage for more than a 1%. So we have operating expenses, outpace revenues. We saw it as I was doing the presentation, how even with the additional $13 million, right, it doesn't make up for the expenses that we have. You have pending litigations. You have pension fluctuations for police, fire, and AFSCME. So we have restored police and fire. However, there's some of the pension changes that are outside of our control because all the money is invested. And so depending on how the market reacts is what we pay as a city. You have the city is self-insured now for HMO and PPO. We're partially insured for windstorm insurance. So a catastrophic event can basically deplete in some ways our reserves because we're only partially insured. We would have to basically upfront the money and then wait for FEMA to reimburse us. We're still waiting on Irma's reimbursement. So that's how many years it takes for actually reimbursement, right? We have next year 3 collective bargaining agreements. So all 3 unions are up for negotiations. And obviously, like I said, the volatility of the real estate market, it fluctuates. And we don't know next year or the year after what our assessed values are going to be and where we're going to end up. So that is why it's so risky when we're making decisions on reductions that we seriously consider what we're doing as a council, because you're basically looking at reductions in just basic services, at the essential services, basically.
Yes.
I wanted to illustrate this because there was a comment of a 10% reduction to the millage. And can you pass on the, no, it's the longer piece of paper. And so I want you to understand where our cost is. So our cost, a hire of a police officer coming in first year, second year, is roughly an average of $188,000 for just that one police officer. For that just one firefighter is $135,000. So we've increased this budget by 20 FTEs in police and fire. So when we're looking at a reduction of about 10%, which represents $13 million, it's actually higher than the rollback rate. You're looking at police and fire and where you're cutting and where you're reducing your costs. We're looking at, no more services to parks and recreational programming, right? Over the trajectory, the mayor had asked us to run a projection of what is the cost in perpetuity to the city if we were to basically implement a 10% reduction. And so over the course of 10 years, it really represents a loss of revenue to the city of $176 million. We would never recover from that. We cannot even push out projects because they will never get done. And so this is just illustration of when we're making decisions. This is a poor city. We do work diligently to look for other revenue streams in order to make the budget that we have. And so any budget cut, regardless of the amount, affects us. And then this council is going to have to make some serious decisions as to where do you cut. The capital, there's $16 million in capital projects that are being funded by general fund that are currently in this budget. And so you will note that $6.5 million are ARPA funds. These are monies that are restricted. Although it shows in the general fund, these are monies that we have said to the state they're committed for infrastructure. So they're restricted funds. Then you have another $5.8 million of life safety. Some of these things are basically for police and fire, information technology. That's the infrastructure of the city. We wouldn't be able to work without it, right? You have Some of the other things that I have here, police radios and next generation's two-way radios, all these things are life and safety. So when we're cutting, the only perhaps opportunity, and as I said in my prior slides, is this is not a wish list. This is basically narrow it down to the bare minimum emergencies. The opportunity is $4 million in your capital. And then you have to make some serious decisions, because if you don't do some of these roofs now and they continue to leak, next year is a more expensive cost, right? Everything has a reaction to the decisions that we make. So this is in a nutshell what I wanted to show. And now I turn it over to the mayor.
Yes. So as I said before, and as Ruth explained, a 1% is the max that we can do. I mean, I wish we can do more. Unfortunately, we can't. If we do, we're gonna dig into services. We're gonna have to start cutting, and none of us here want to do that to the residents of Hialeah. We would end up how we were many years ago. Parks closed. We would have to cut police, cut fire. Well, okay. You might have to tell someone here. Well, 1% is feasible. We just have to be very careful with anything else that you want to do above that. It's not doable. It's impossible. If you look at the numbers and you look at the projects we have, everything is necessary for the city. There is nothing that we're wasting money on, or just everything is absolutely necessary.
Through the chair,
Yes.
we're not cutting police, we're not cutting fire, and we're not closing parks. I'll tell you that. Ruth, I have a question. So you mentioned that anything above a 1%, the presentation was, I think, specifically to show that anything above a 1% would cut essential services. I don't really agree, right? Are you saying that there's no fluff built in? That there's no items where we outsource or we privatize, where maybe we can move it in-house to have some savings?
Obviously, we can look at all that.
Okay.
I am telling you that this budget today, the way is presented, there's really no fluff. If you look at every single administrative departments, because that is what we looked at, we didn't look at police or fire or 911, you will see that they work at a bare minimum. They really don't have fluff. And if you basically decide that it's more than a 1%, then you're looking at services that they need, or basically operations that they need to run their business, right? You're looking at budget cuts, you're looking at personnel cuts. You're looking at perhaps no longer giving, for example, and Elsa probably doesn't want me to mention it, but you're looking at training and development. But that was one of the examples, right? But we've come a long way to provide training and development for our staff. So if you cut that budget by half, what are we doing to our team? How are we developing them, right? That's an example of some of the things that we saw, because that is the only way they can cut. The staff is here. They need every single staff. If you compare us to the city of, let's say, Orlando, which is similar to us. City of Orlando has over 3,000 employees. We operate with 1,200 employees. Okay, we don't really have in departments where you can say, I can eliminate this position, or, I can do without, because the city has operated very lean for so many years. And the process that my budget team does as we put this budget together is we look at each line item. So I would say, and if you're familiar with zero-based budgeting, this may not be zero-based budgeting, but it actually is. We basically look at every single line item and we question every single line item. And where we increase is because we have to increase. So I welcome, we can sit down and go over through each and every line item. And if you can pull from that line item how you can come up with an additional 1%, by all means, I'm willing to hear it.
So can we go to the last slide, please?
Yes.
In the mayor's proposal, right? And I know you mentioned emergency repairs, we should not touch it.
Yes.
But one of the things that the mayor is removing, right, is that the Okeechobee Road pedestrian bridge?
Right, so it's
Okay.
there, so it's emergency repairs, replacement, or upgrades. So that project, right? We are in negotiations with FDOT. We have conversations with Miami Springs. So we know that that's going to take longer than perhaps this fiscal year. And so we're willing to push it out to 27, knowing that it'll probably occur in 27.
And we have to negotiate with Miami Springs. We shouldn't have to pay for that building ourselves. That's connected from Hialeah to Miami Springs.
Understood. How about the next item or the next item up, the beautification and entrances? So my thing is, right, we want to help, right? I know in one of the slides you showed how it only helps, the 1% only helps $11 to our residents and 200 and something dollars to our businesses. And to me, I think here in Hialeah, we have to help everybody. However, my priority is the residents, right? So is there a way for us to help the residents, right? Like, I would just say, I mean, can we put off 500,000 for a beautification and entrances for a year?
So let me ask you this. I think Councilwoman Monica Perez asked about picking up bulk trash. Where do you think that money comes from? It
Well,
comes
is
from
it in
that
the
area.
budget?
It's in there. So it's basically, so when we have accidents throughout the city and our medians are destroyed, we have to repair it. We have to basically come back and put shrubs. The money comes from there. So yes, you can cut it, but understand that if we have an emergency bulk pickup someplace because there's trash, where are we going to cover it from? When this is a big city. $500,000 is nothing.
Right.
So you can cut it?
Well, I'm just saying, like,
No, I mean, but you can.
No, understood. I just kind of when you were speaking, it was just like if we make any cuts, it comes from police, fire, and parks. And I feel like I think maybe we probably could find places where we can cut that it would not impact our essential services. So that's really just what I wanted to mention.
Sure.
Through the chair.
Keep, 1 second. Keep in mind, there's a slide there that says all the liabilities that we have right now open. That if they have to be paid out, they're gonna be paid out with fees. It's gonna be more than what's listed there. So we have to be very mindful and very careful with what we do. I wish we could do more. They are gonna see a big savings between the 1% and absorbing the water costs. They will see $306 of savings.
Through the chair. Ruth, I remember sitting down when negotiation 2 years with our police and our firefighters, right? When you sat down with me, the only versatility we were seeing in the future was the price, as far as up or down on the dollars were gonna come in as far as home pricing, correct? That was the only versatility that we had, right?
I'm sorry, I didn't catch
we-
the question.
Yeah, when you did 2 years ago, when you
Mhm.
sat down with us and you actually negotiated with our police.
Yes.
We were already proceeding a couple of years from now as far as what dollars were gonna come in. I remember $33 million, remember we're gonna be shortfall if the tax rate dollars weren't coming in, correct?
Mm-hmm.
All right, so, I mean, I don't see any, I can't see more than 1%. I'm just asking the question because I remember the planning for the future talking about. Does it make sense what I'm saying? Because right now, when we did the 2 years ago that we planned to sit down with this 2 years coming up right now with negotiation with our police department and fire department, we were counting everything to be equal at the same time. I guess is the best way I can say it.
If you ask my honest opinion, we can't even afford the 1% reduction. But that is my honest opinion. I am here to basically say that. And then I guess this council needs to decide. But yes, we do have union negotiations coming up, 3 union negotiations. We've done a lot to basically recruit and retain. And that's why you see the increases that you've seen. But it is your decision as to, how you want to proceed.
Okay, thank you.
Through the chair.
Yes.
What you said, what you've been saying, Ruth, is totally on point. I have the benefit of history in this city, of having been employed by the city for 31 years. I've seen populist moves being made at around 2010 when the money was flowing, when you would put a house for sale on the market and it would sell in 15 minutes and people were upbidding it and people were flipping and flipping and flipping and money was coming in by pipeline. And certain populist moves were done by people sitting up here in the dais. I wasn't sitting up here. Probably with the best of intentions, I would like to say. And rollbacks were made and reductions were made. And then the perfect storm came. And then the narrative was, it's okay, we can do more for less. We didn't do more for less. And Mr. Johnson could attest to that. Our union reps at the police department could attest to that. AFSCME. We suffered furloughs. Furloughs meaning people's days, working days a month cut. We suffered positions being cut. We suffered salary increases being frozen, contracts being frozen. And that sounds doable, but it wasn't. We lost personnel like crazy. Services were cut. Our park system services were cut. We suffered, and the city suffered because of that, because they thought erroneously, oh, the money's going to keep coming in. And no, we cannot predict that. In fact, in a conversation with me, and I attended a Latin Builders Association luncheon last week where Mr. Regalado, our property appraiser, was one of the guest speakers, and he estimated from the indicators that he is seeing that we are going to see a devaluation this coming year. In other words, and we're already seeing it. People are putting houses for sale where they used to sell immediately a year or two ago, and they're not. They're sitting on the market for months. People are starting to having to reduce the sale prices on the houses, and that's what affects the home values and the property values. And when values start to reduce, our ad valorem, in other words, the money we make from property taxes starts to reduce. If we do a rollback or a big reduction now, we are setting ourselves up for failure, because there is no way, there is no fluff in this city. There is no way. We are skinny, we are lean, hard, and fast, and we have been that way for years. And if there is a revenue shortage, we will suffer in all departments. And like you said, we have 3 unions coming up for negotiations this coming year, and they're expecting some improvement, because if not, we're going to have personnel leaving. They're going to be leaving, and we're going to feel that, and every citizen is going to feel that, and they're going to see that the general employees will be leaving, that firefighters will be leaving, and police officers will be leaving, because somebody else's grass is going to be greener who didn't do a rollback and a cutback, and they may be better off to sustain these market fluctuations than we are. If we try to do a populist move now, we may be setting us up for failure. All indicators are that things will not get better in the immediate future, but will get tighter. And I know for a fact we don't have a fat budget. We never have. And every time any politician, I mean, I'm not talking about anybody sitting here now, I'm talking about history. Anytime any politician says, oh, we'll be fine and we can do this for the residents, boy, did we pay for it. And I was one of the persons who paid for it as an employee and as a resident. We saw the services being cut, and it was felt, and that pain was felt by everybody. So this is the same case we're in now. We don't have any fat to trim. We don't have any fluff to trim. Everything, anywhere we trim is a cut in services. And we just don't have that luxury right now, especially when the future looks like it might be a little gray, maybe more than a little gray. And I'm seeing it on the street. I'm hearing it from people. And if we do a cut now, there's no way to change that in the future. Once you cut now, your millage rate, if you exaggeratingly cut your millage rate, if you do a rollback, and again, I'm not targeting anybody anybody saying anything, but you do a roll, you will never be able to raise that millage rate because the natives will burn our house down. They'll come with pitchforks and torches and they'll burn us down and we have to live with it. And living with that reduction in revenue for the city means cutting services and everything is going up. Our insurance, as it says in our budget, went up 15% this year. The insurance we use to cover the employees that we have now, 15%, like everybody, a tire for a city vehicle costs more. A city vehicle, the equipment, everything is costing more. People are seeing that in their own lives. They're going to the market, the gallon of milk, the dozen eggs, everything is going up and it's going up for us. If we make less revenue, how are we going to sustain the services? They're going to have to suffer. There is no place else to cut. And like I said, we're doing fantastically right now with our public service. We could do better. We need better because we're still losing people, right, Mr. Johnson? We're still losing people. And he does a fantastic job defending his department and our union and the police does a fantastic job. But we're not going to be able to satisfy their needs. And they're employees. They're here. They do the best job. They really do a fantastic job. No matter what they get paid, they do a fantastic job. But if somebody else, some other city is shinier than we are, they will leave us. And like you're saying, and to replace an employee, if we cut to replace an employee, and you're saying figures like $180,000 to hire a police officer, and people think, what is that we did? Do they make $180,000? No, they don't make $180,000, but that includes their salary, fringe benefits, workman's comp, the vehicles they're going to need, the uniforms they're going to need. That's what it costs. It's very expensive to hire new employees, and anything that you cut will mean no new hires and no raises. And we do have raises that we have to merit steps. We have cost of living steps, never mind what we may agree upon in a union contract, which if we don't give them a raise, I don't blame them if they start leaving. And that's going to happen. So I get it, even a 1%. And not that I don't back the mayor's proposal, not at all, not at all. Yes, it's fine because people are wanting to see a relief, but any more than that is unsustainable, and we will see the negative consequences to that. I totally agree with that. Thank you.
To the chair.
Yes.
We have to keep in mind that once we reduce, we are not going to be able to raise it because
That's right.
no resident is going to vote to then raise the millage when property values go down. And that's where the real problem will begin.
If I may, through the chair.
Yes, ma'am.
Ruth, did you do one of these financial 10-year impact for the 1%? Do I have one for that? I only have it for the 10.
We didn't run one, but I will send you, we will run one and we will send it to you.
Okay, so, we don't have anything to see the impact. That would be over time. I think that's important to have right now as well. All right, thank you.
We will send it to you tomorrow.
Anyone else? Okay. Next, comments and questions?
First registered speaker, Jose Ozzie.
Hi, good evening, Jose Alzi.
Sorry, there you go.
Good evening, Jose Alzi. I agree with Mr. Dogby. That was a good recap. We don't have to worry about the parks being closed because right now we're making $1 million from special events, renting our facilities, and more than $1 million renting the parks. So I gave you a list of the revenues we're making. We're making more than $2 million off our parks. So we're not gonna, we have like the best thing going, right? The residents think they're paying taxes for the parks. And then when they go to the park, I challenge every resident, go to a park. What do you offer? Nothing, right? Like Southeast Park. There's a tennis academy from Doral at Southeast Park. There's a soccer academy from Doral they're charging $1,500. So our park, we're making so much money in our parks that they're not going to close, right? What I've been asking is, this was started by Carlos Hernandez, right? He had the good idea of privatizing our parks and eliminating programs. We already have no programs. We cannot eliminate more, but we have none, right? And then came Steve Bovo, and he did it even more. And Jackie, in this budget, we're generating more money proposed than any other budget. At the same time, You told us, Mayor, what was that you were going to bring back programs, and you're eliminating recreation leaders. So this program is going to have less recreation leaders, right? So if we go to a park, you know, and yeah, we see that the residents see, you know, oh yeah, this is the city of Miami, $1,500 here. There's nothing available in different parks. It's not going to change. What I'm asking you is every city that privatizes, part of the money go back into Parks and Recreation. The scheme developed by Carlos Hernandez and Bobo, and now we're continuing of using our parks to make money. That's not fair, right? Our parks, we're paying taxes. We should go like our pools. It costs a lot of money to use our pools, right? 4 of our pools are down, right? We only have 3 pools available, right? The prime hours of our pool, who uses the prime hours? The private company that's renting our pools. Here we are, residents are paying for the last 50 years to use the pools, and they can't because we're trying to use the money that we're renting our pools, right? Right now, Slade Park, the residents have been paying 40 years, they've been paying taxes. What are we doing with Slade Park? We're gonna privatize it and give it to Cohia, right? A for-profit company. When you saw there that half of the money that we pay taxes goes to Dade County School Board. That's not enough, right? Here we are, we need the money. It's not that we want to be nice to Cohia, is we found a way to generate money using our parks, and I'm asking you to consider, you know, providing basic services, you know, like the summer lunches, you know. The Department of HUD spends millions of dollars making sure that all communities have free summer lunches because we couldn't afford to put a recreation leader to open the parks in the morning. 6 of our communities did not have summer lunches. And I want to remind you, the average household in Hialeah makes $60,000 a year. That means some of them are making $120,000, but some families are living on $20,000 a year. And those summer lunches, can I have 1 more minute? The summer lunches, the free programs, that's valuable to them. You know, these high-end, you know, our swimming classes went from $45 to $160 to swim, right? And all these, I mean, our family should have the ability, you know, I'm low income, at least, you know, give me a free lunch, a free service, have the pools available. You know, from 4 to 6, we have no pools available. If I get off work, man, I have a child in the summer, I want to take them to the pool, you know, so keep that in mind. You know, the parks are not going to close, but the parks are made for our residents, not for non-residents. And right now, we have more programs for non-residents. We don't have a baseball league in Hialeah, right? Baseball was always been the most popular. If you want to play baseball in Hialeah, you got to go to Miami Lakes or you got to go to Miami Springs. Yeah, we have 20 baseball fields that are being rented, right? How much money are we making in rental fields? And because we're making money, so we got to stop using our recreation department to make money and think about our residents. I hope you really look into that. I know you have a tough thing. You know, I agree everything with Mr. Zabi. I know I don't agree with you because you're hard on me sometimes, but everything you said, I agree with you. You know, and we're coming on tough times, but it's not that tough that you know we got to look at we're low income. You know, we're just, and people that have the right, and I admire y'all. You're in a tough spot. You know.
Thank you.
And I hope God leads you and God gives you wisdom because it's really, really hard. And I do think that things are going to get a lot worse. Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
Eric Johnson.
Good evening, Eric Johnson, representing the Hialeah firefighters of Local 1102. May I first start by recognizing Miss Elizabeth, Kevin Linsky's 99-year-old mother, who has curlers, which are 86 years old, almost as old as this city. And Elizabeth, if you're watching, let me tell you something. You did a hell of a job raising your son. Unfortunately, when he came to Hialeah, he inherited a mess, but he's done a great job of trying to get us out of it. It'll just take a couple more years. To answer a couple questions or to clear things up. Your question on reserves, Mr. Tundador, it's a GFO recommendation. You can actually spend the money. Simple as that. I'll be bouncing around the subject, okay? Very simple. To clarify something you just said about having $33 million shortfall in negotiations 2 years ago, it might have been stated, but that was actually false. It helped the city negotiate to look like we had nothing. But the truth of the matter is, those who sat in negotiation rooms and looked at the facts and figures, we knew it was totally false, and it probably should have never been done. Let me start by saying the budget is really good. Let me give credit to Miss Ruth and the finance department. Call me a budget historian or a budget pain in the ass, whatever you want to call me, just call me that. The budget itself looks good. The internal fight you guys are have over the millage is between you. If you want to give more money back, absolutely there's ways. But for somebody to sit here and tell me there's no fluff in the budget, I think we all know better than that also. The problem is that fluff would take away certain things, okay? It's just that simple. But no one should ever say that at all. Transparency is a wonderful thing. $133 million in ad valorem taxes we take in, but public safety itself costs $154 million. That's factual. That's 100% true. Doesn't seem we're taking enough money in to actually support our first responders and what we need to keep the city safe. In 2006, I think I stood before you with a couple other firemen, and we actually brought up the idea of a fire fee back then in 2006. And we're adamant this is what was going to happen because we were annexing miles of square of acreage in the west side of Hialeah. We said this is the only way that we're going to be able to continue this. So in 2008, we actually entered that into law. It was entered into the Muni codes, but it was never effectuated. We are here today in this position as elected officials, even as employees and as residents. We are here in this quagmire because of bad governance. It's that simple. It might not be the people sitting on the dais. I always look at Carl because he actually endured the same pay cuts and the same ass whoopings we got. It's not funny when you know two of your employees who are living in a McDonald's parking lot, sleeping in a van with a disabled child, and those are the things that happen. We saw them. We fed them. We took care of them. But we are here today because of bad governance in the past. We have to find a way as elected officials, as residents, as leaders, to work together to make sure these mistakes don't happen again. We have to do that. It's our opportunity. God bless our risk management department. I think the only way we survived another year is the savings that they actually created. Health insurance costs went up 46%. 46%, it's real. City couldn't afford that. I know that Tim Benjamin, God bless him, he negotiated to get the city self-insured. Then they fired him. Really kind of pissed me off. Don't really understand why. Maybe we'll get that fixed in the future. Negotiated contract, saving the city millions of dollars again. We're repeating ourselves and we're repeating the same mistakes of the past. You continue to do the same things and expect a different outcome. It's the definition itself of insanity. As elected officials, you have the opportunity to change these things. And they start changing these things tonight. I've sat up here at this particular podium for over 20 years and warned everybody of the same consequences that will continually repeat themselves over and over and over again. And sometimes we put politics over people. I'm not willing to do it anymore. I could retire. I could leave. I'm tired of coming up here. I even come up here now with no shoes. Sorry, it's neuropathy. I'm joking. But realistically, we've got to make changes. We understand the importance of employees. We understand our responsibility to the residents. These employees who sit in this room, may they be management, department heads, attorneys, risk management, finance. Let me tell you something. You will never compare a Hialeah employee to any other city around you. Because as you said, we run lean. We do more for less and we do it with less. Do we not, Mr. Zogby? And we've done it for years. We can't do it anymore. Because there's no R&R, there's no recruitment, there's no retention. I'd like to put the police chief on the spot and ask him how many cops he lost this month. I don't want to do it. But I can tell you this next month alone, we're going to lose 10 firefighters. And those 10 firefighters, it kind of hits me because I'm in training now. And I get to train them. I get to meet their families. And we bust our ass training our own. Many of you have been out to our little academy out there. We put our heart and soul into it. Not only that, I see all these new people in parks. I see them new in streets. I see them new on the police force. I see them new all over because we can't keep them. Under the direction of Mayor Bovo, we started to make investments in the city. And God bless him. I'll tell you, I love him. He started to make investments. And those investments were starting to pay off. Like I said, the internal fight you guys have about the millage, knock it out of the park. Is there fluff? Absolutely, there's fluff. You want to be 1%, 3%, whatever, make a percent, stick with it to find your future. But understand the ramifications of your actions on a daily basis. And I can't say daily, I'm going to say once every 2 weeks. That's what I'll say. God bless our first responders who responded to the call on 9/11. I know we ourselves lost 343 firemen, police, first responders, the paramedics, the individuals themselves that lost a life, and that horrendous attack on the towers. On a personal level, not as a union representative, I would like to say what this world witnessed yesterday with an individual by the name of Charlie Kirk. I don't care if you like him. I don't care if you hate him. I don't care. Shot live on national TV. I don't have any social media. Don't even know how to get on Faceplant, Snapagram, whatever the hell it's called. Don't have any of those things. But I know my son liked watching this dude. But the reality is he died because of opinions. He died because of ideology. He died because of his beliefs, because he was vocal about it. What kind of world are we living in today? We have to find a way to end this political violence. We have to. And I would ask all of you elected officials and in the room and on YouTube land or wherever you watch this thing at, pray for his family, 31 years old. Pray for his family. On behalf of the firemen, we love everybody.
Anybody else?
There are no more registered speakers.
Next item, please. Sorry, Paige.
Through the chair.
Yes.
You have to read it before amending it, or we amend it before?
You can
I
amend
wanted-
on the floor, yes.
Yes, because I wanted to
Let me
reflect.
read the item and then we can amend it. First reading and public hearing of proposed ordinance accepting for budget purposes the Miami-Dade County Assessment Roll, establishing a tax millage rate of 6.3018 mils for fiscal year 2026, commencing on October 1st, 2025, and ending on September 30th, 2026, which is an increase of 9.86% over the rolled back rate of 5.7362. Repealing all ordinances or parts of ordinances in conflict herewith, providing for a severability clause, and providing for an effective date.
Okay, so I would like for you to amend it to reflect the 1%.
So I'll read the amendment. Ordinance of the mayor and the city council of the city of Hialeah, Florida, accepting for budget purposes the Miami-Dade County Assessment Roll, establishing a tax millage rate of 6.2388 mils for fiscal year 2026, commencing on October 1st, 2025, and ending on September 30th, 2026, which is an increase of 8.76% over the rolled back rate of 5.7362. Repealing all ordinances or parts of ordinances in conflict herewith, providing for a severability clause, and providing for an effective date.
Okay.
This item is open for public participation.
Correct. Item first reading, but it is open. Anybody out there? Good. All right. I do want to make a comment. I'm going to agree to 1%. I feel that even, in my opinion, we should stay the same because we never increased taxes in 13 years. Okay, but I do understand it. I mean, there's this type of help, but a 1%, we saw how much a 2%, 3% can endorse. Okay? Just FYI for that. All right, can I have a motion? We got a motion. Can I have a second?
Second.
Please take.
Mr. Junco,
Yes.
Ms. De La Vega,
No.
Ms. Perez,
No.
Mr. Rodriguez.
Yes.
Mr. Tumidor,
No.
Mr. Zogby.
Yes.
Motion fails at the pleasure of the council.
Right, through the chair.
Yes, sir.
Just just a couple of notes on this. And again, I know that everyone's concerned, and it's valid. It's a valid concern, 100%. And everything that everyone has said has been, has made sense. It's spot on. But everyone's going to say what they have to say, right? And everyone's got a job to do. People report to certain people, right? And I get that. And I get that. And I know that we had a meeting scheduled with the administration. I had to cancel, so I do apologize on that. So I'd like to maybe in the coming days with the administration, and your team, with the finance team, get together. And we had mentioned a couple things about line items and going through all that. And I think that would make sense. I feel, again, it's okay to disagree, right? And it's okay to disagree on certain projects, what's urgent, what's not urgent. Since I could remember, we never really used general revenue to fix up roads. And when Mayor Steve Bowl came, we did that, which I agree with 100%. But for many years, we didn't, right? And we struggled. But I think, I personally, again, respectfully, right? I think this year has been very difficult for everyone, right? Starting with the 11% increase from FPL on electricity, right? Water and sewer and everything around us. I think we had looked at initially different ways to make things work. I'm not stuck on a 10%. I think 10% is more of an impact than 1%, right? Than $15 or $11 a year, whatever it was. But I am open to have the discussion, right? And I know that your team is, I know that the mayor is, to have the discussion on how we can do things responsibly, right? And so I'm going to go ahead and just put it on the record, because I've been saying this, right? And I want to go ahead and offer an amendment, a 10% reduction to the millage, if we can get that on the record. And I move to do that.
Through the chair? It's open for discussion. Eric Johnson, would you like to come up and speak on behalf of the 10% that the candidate that you decided to endorse is proposing?
Yeah, firefighters local 1102. I definitely won't go back and forth between two people running for mayor in the millage. I will tell you this. And some people are going to like it. Some people are not going to like it, vice versa, whatever it is. But, this comes down to the words of FLUFF, fluff. Am I right? If you want to go from a monetary standpoint, you're talking about transferring $13 million from general funds over to the water department. I believe a 10% cut on $133 million is almost $13 million. So from a financial standpoint, can it be done? It could be done. Would it suck? It would suck. Would we end up where we were before? Absolutely we would. No doubt about it. But to answer the question, could a 10% in the millage be done? Absolutely it could be done. Hell, I'll do it in 5 minutes. I just did it in 6 seconds. Common sense, mathematics. I don't think anybody can argue with me on that at all. Do we have to have $19 million or $17 million in the water department reserves? Absolutely we don't. It's a recommendation. It's crap. Did we do it for the last 10 years? No, we kept it up, thank God. We actually kept it up, and good job, by the way, because before that, I don't think we had crap in there. We never had crap in there. Will it affect us? To answer your question, yes, it will affect us. Does it have to be at 1%? The answer is no. Does it have to be at 10%? The answer is no. I love giving the residents back more money because you know what? I'm a taxpayer. I do. And I'm really up to my neck. Because before in the conversation was $135,000 to pay a fireman, $188,000 to pay a cop, as Carl Zogby said, "Oh, that's not what we make, dude. Fire trucks went from $400,000 to $1.1 million. That's reality." Do I believe in giving something back? Yes. Do I believe it should be at 1%? I think you give a little more. Give a little more. We got the money. Absolutely. We want to make political statements. Let's make a political statement and let's buy more than a piece of licorice. Let's buy a Snickers bar. So come to a compromise. Knock out the millage. Knock out the millage, because everything is dependent upon what you do tonight for the millage for every single resident, every single business in Hialeah, every single employee in Hialeah, and every single one of you as elected officials. Don't make a mistake. Get it right.
I would also like to put on the record before you guys vote, going back to the meeting with Councilman Tundidor, I don't mind having the meeting. We had 2 meetings set up. You didn't show up to either one of them. The first one you canceled while you were downstairs. You were here in the building, and the second one you just didn't show up. But yes, I'm willing to meet.
Okay, thank you. So how does this work?
She second.
Oh, I'm sorry.
And he motioned.
Sorry, Councilman.
Okay, well, any change to the mayor's budget, as stated earlier, requires 5 affirmative votes per the charter. Less than that, it fails.
Got it. All right. You asked
All
a
right,
question?
so the amendment would be first reading and public hearing of proposed ordinance, accepting for budget purposes the Miami-Dade County Assessment Roll, establishing a tax millage rate of 5.6717 mils for fiscal year 2026, commencing on October 1st, 2025, and ending on September 30th, 2026, which is a decrease of 1.12% over the rolled back rate of 5.7362. Repealing all ordinances or parts of ordinances in conflict herewith, providing for a severability clause and providing for an effective date.
Okay, we get a motion, first and a second.
Tundidor is the motion. Perez second.
Yes.
Ms. De La Vega.
Yes.
Ms. Perez.
Yes.
Mr. Rodriguez.
No.
Mr. Tundidor.
Yes.
Mr. Zogby.
No.
Mr. Junco. Motion fails at the pleasure of the council.
If I may through the chair.
Yes, ma'am.
So I understand the concerns. I spoke to, Mayor Jackie about this. And just to come up with maybe some, middle point, I think maybe Ruth, it would be responsible to maybe come up with this financial 10-year model. And maybe if at the pleasure of the board, if we could maybe come up with a 7%, a 5%, a 3%, so that we have a jumping off point and maybe an understanding if we do want to offer some relief to the residents that's might be a little bit more significant in lieu of what we're going through with FPNL, with the water, and as has been discussed this evening, just so we could have some options. All right, thank you, Ruth.
Through the council president, if I may, or Mayor, okay. So I just want to bring to the council's attention something that I just think I should mention just for your information. So in terms of cases, and I'm not going to get into discussing any of the cases, we have approximately 4 substantial cases facing the city. The total exposure on those cases is between $68 million and $75 million. So any of those cases, if they're assessed in a judgment against the city that's not reversed on appeal, again, I just want to point out to the council that we don't have any insurance coverage relative to those losses, and that one of the criteria for state oversight would be not being able to pay decrees or bills when they are due. Thank you.
Okay. You gonna say something? I'm sorry.
Well, I guess if I'm forced
Nice
to,
calling
through
you.
the chair. So we interpret that right, and I understood what you're saying. We may be in a big financial crisis if we lose a few of those litigations that are facing us, even one or more if we lose them, and especially if they're a federal level litigation where the state would have to approve anything over a certain amount. I think now it's 200,000. If it's a
Well,
federal
some
lawsuit,
of these cases are federal.
Yeah,
and in
exactly.
federal cases, there
We got-
is no limit.
we have to, and
There
we
is no
have to
limit.
pay immediately. And
Yes,
that may
yes,
put us
unless-
into a financial
unless it's for-
crisis.
Yes.
Unless we win on appeal, but we would
Yes.
go into a terrible financial crisis. So in other words, we're navigating like, okay, we'll be okay if we cut a little bit here, we cut a little bit there, we'll find whatever fat there is to trim, which I disagree that there is any. But if we lose any or more than one of these 4 cases we have pending, we will be in real trouble. We're not insured for that. It comes out of our general fund, and I don't know, we can't cover it. If we lose several of those cases, we cannot cover it with our general fund. We may have to float bonds, and we may have to indebt the city for the next 40 years.
Yeah, relative to these claims, the city is entirely self-insured. The city has no surplus liability coverage, public officials coverage, police coverage, just no coverage.
Exactly. So things may get stormy. They may. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Any other comments? So just to echo what Councilwoman Ms. Perez said, today I'm not comfortable voting for any other reduction or anything if I don't see the impact black and white. Just what Monica was saying, because I'm not willing to do any more reduction, but like we said, we're like the process we started 4 years ago in order to invest in the city, I'm not comfortable right now. So what are the next steps, Mr. Attorney?
Well, you're required to, pass
Can we meet?
the millage before you get into the budget legislations. And you heard the dates that you're required to pass them by. I can repeat them.
So I'm sorry, through the chair.
We can
Yes, sir.
recess till Monday.
Yeah, can we just postpone this till Monday or Tuesday, whatever?
No, we have to, the recess has to be till Monday
He said
So Monday, we have the meeting?
because we have specific deadlines for the budget.
Okay, so city attorney or city clerk, are we limited to Monday to have our next special meeting for the budget?
We have to advertise the trim. And so we have a deadline with the Miami Herald, and that's why we should do it Monday.
Okay, so let's do Monday.
Monday?
Yeah.
Okay. What day is Monday?
Through the chair, is Monday for us to discuss or is Monday for us to come back here and vote?
It's to come and vote.
So do we have a
I
motion?
don't know where my.
I mean, if the mayor's in agreement, we don't need a motion to call back a meeting for Monday, recess until Monday at 5:30.
Through the chair.
Right, please just announce it.
Yes.
Just a clarification, would that include every item? We would just stop the meeting today, adjourn the meeting, come back Monday? Okay, yeah, got. Thank
You need to vote on the millage first. Until you do that, you can't vote on any other item.
Yeah, we can.
So for the record, we're recessing until Monday, and that is.
Through the chair, can I know the timeline, please? Like, can I understand
5:30.
why it's Monday? You said our deadline is with the Herald?
Yeah, so we advertise the trim in the Herald,
Okay.
and by state law, the trim needs to be advertised 2 to 5 days before second reading, and they have their own deadlines.
2 to 5 days before
Before
the.
second reading.
Okay, and
right?
second reading is,
The 25th of September.
so 2 to 5 days. So that's the 22nd.
No, it's any day from the 20th to the 24th. So 2 to 5 days prior to the 25th.
That's when we have to advertise it.
That's right.
So we have all of next week.
So it needs to be actually published. It has a process. You have to send it to the Herald. They have to go through editorial. It's not a simple, here it is and it's on the paper. They have their deadlines. They won't publish after their deadline.
So, okay.
I'm not.
So,
Through the chair.
yes, sir.
Yes, Marbellis, I'm sorry. So a Tuesday is out of the table? It's off the table?
I can check with the Herald. I mean, I won't be able to tell you that right now.
Herald.
If I can send them an ad for Tuesday, I mean, I don't know. That's
And-
what I understand our deadline to be
Okay.
Yeah.
on Monday.
And the trim notice in the Herald is legally
We have,
it's legally required. Okay, it's legally required. It's not an optional. It's legally required.
Okay.
so you're talking just 4 days prior to the first day that the trim can be published. If you send it to them on Tuesday, the 16th, assuming that you all come to an agreement on the 15th.
Okay. So are we good with Monday?
It has to be on Monday.
I'm gonna get a day off. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, Monday.
Okay, so for the record, we are recessing until Monday, September 15th, 2025 at 5:30 PM.
But
5:30.
okay, that's it.
Thank you.